When the Pakistan Air Force, PAF, receives its first J-10C fighters in 2022, it will be seen as a direct response to the Indian Rafale. But the intriguing question is why the Pakistani Air Force, which has more than 60 US-made F-16s, would want to introduce a fourth-and-a-half-generation fighter that requires a new maintenance system while its mainstay is still in service. More importantly, is the J-10C fleet of only 25 aircraft in service really just a supporting role for the F-16s, which have been in service for 40 years? From the technical parameters, J-10C equipped with a ESA radar, PL-15E ultra-long-range air-to-air missiles, an advanced avionics system, theoretically has surpassed Pakistan's current F-16B Block 15-20 batch. Its KLJ-7A radar has a detection range of 170 kilometers and can track 15 targets simultaneously and attack 4 of them, while the F-16's a PG-68V-9 radar has a maximum detection range of only 140 kilometers. However, the real-world capability is not a simple stacking of parameters. The US-built F-16 maintenance system for Pakistan has been in operation for 40 years, forming a complete supply chain for spare parts, technical standards for maintenance and pilot training mechanisms. The F-16 Regional Maintenance Center set up by Loma at its Kamla base still provides more than 90% of the spare parts support for the Pakistani side. In contrast, the maintenance support network for the J-10C is still in its infancy. Although Pakistan has accumulated experience in the use of Chinese equipment through the 170 Lords, there is a technological generation gap between the RD-93 engine and the J-10C's WS-10B turbofan engine. The former has a thrust of 8.3 tons, while the latter has a thrust of 14.5 tons, and the former's overhaul cycle is only 800 hours, while the latter's is upgraded to 1,500 hours. This leapfrog upgrade will take at least 5 years. This leapfrog upgrade requires at least 5 years to complete personnel training, equipment upgrades and safeguard process re-engineering, which is the key constraints of the PAF's current deployment of only one J-10C squadron. With only $7.6 billion in military spending in 2023, Pakistan needs to maintain the 9th largest air force in the world. Each F-16 hourly flight cost of about $18,000 and J-10C, although the specific data is not publicly available, but reference to the Lord's Block 3 about $12,000 in operating costs, the two superimposed on the military expenditures to form a huge pressure. More problematic is the fact that the US Congress has frozen military aid to Pakistan since 2018, and the upgrading of the F-16 has come to a standstill. Although the active Block 20 batch has undergone a mid-life extension, the airframe life is generally more than 6,000 hours, and half of the F-16s will reach the decommissioning tipping point by 2030. In this context, the introduction of the J-10C is both a preventive filling of the warfighting fault line and an accumulation of experience for the subsequent full replacement. It is worth noting that Pakistan's procurement of the J-10C is financed by an installment loan from China, with the total amount of the contract to be paid in 11 years, covering 20 aircraft, 240 PL-15E missiles, and ancillary support services. This use first, pay later model not only eased the financial pressure on the Pakistani side, but also highlights the depth of strategic mutual trust between China and Pakistan. The contract writer allows the Pakistani side to use the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project proceeds to offset part of the payment, which is extremely rare in the traditional military trade. U.S. Strategic Center of Gravity to India and the Pacific, Pakistan and the War on Terror, frontline state, status gradually weakened. After the Pentagon withdrew its troops from Afghanistan in 2021, military cooperation with Pakistan continued to cool down, and the F-16 fleet's MLU upgrade program was put on hold indefinitely. In contrast, defense cooperation under the framework of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has continued to deepen. The mass production of the Dragon Block 3 has enabled the Pakistani side to obtain core technology for the development of combat aircraft, and to build a complete military ecosystem covering phased array radar and data chain systems. Kamla Aviation Consortium has achieved 60% of the local production of KLJ-7A radar. 2024, Moore built South Asia's first composite wing production line. This technological accumulation provides key support for the rapid integration of the J-10C PAF ground crews have mastered the KLJ-7A radar maintenance technology, and pilots are familiar with the Chinese human-machine interface, which is expected to shorten the combat force generation cycle of the J-10C to 18-24 months. Notably, Pakistan Air Force Chief of Staff Anwar Khan revealed during the Zhuhai Airshow 2024 that he is discussing with China to establish a regional maintenance center for the J-10C, which may completely change the PAF's dependence on the Western maintenance system. Pakistan's military transformation is not limited to the Air Force, as the Pakistan Navy showcased 4 Chinese-built 054P frigates and the first Hangul-class IP submarine during the Peace 2025 multinational maritime exercise. 054Ps are equipped with Li-80 and anti-aircraft missiles that have a range of up to 50 kilometers, and with the Senior 2410C radar that can intercept up to 8 airborne targets at a time. The combined operational capability of the 054Ps surpasses that of India's Talwar-class frigates. Talwar-class frigates, the delivery of 8 Hongyor-class submarines, will double the size of the Pakistani underwater fleet, the formation of underwater deterrence against the Indian Navy. More noteworthy is that the Pakistan Navy in 2026 plans to receive 2 052-type destroyers, will be equipped with a range of 600 kilometers of CM-401 supersonic anti-ship missiles. This air and sea linkage equipment upgrades, marking the Pakistan as from a single land-based countries to the sea, land and air composite defense system transformation. The deepening of China-Pakistan military cooperation also stems from a common need to combat terrorism. Since 2018, there have been frequent attacks by Baloch militants targeting the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, PEC, including the Karachi University bombing and the Gwadar port terror attack. In response, China and Pakistan conducted the Warrior 8 joint counter-terrorism exercise in 2024, and the Pakistani army subsequently killed hundreds of militants in the Balochistan region. The deployment of the J-10C not only strengthens the air defense network, but also directly supports counter-terrorism operations on the ground with its precision ground strike capability. It can mount CM-102 anti-radiation missiles and LS-6 glide-guided bombs to carry out surgical strikes against mountainous targets. In addition, the Chinese and Pakistani J-10C, ZDK-03 AWACS, and Wing Long 2 UAVs are jointly operated through the data chain, forming a Chinese equipment combat cloud, while the F-16 has a limited interconnection through the modification of the Link 16 data chain. This dual-system parallel program allows the PAF to set a record of 300 sorties in 72 hours in the 2025 border conflict, far exceeding the IAF's 220 sorties. Faced with the pressure of India's plan to field 114 4.5 fifth-generation aircraft by 2035, Pakistan's strategy to deal with the situation has shown its wisdom. J-10C and Dragon Block 3 form a high and low collocation, the former by virtue of the PL-15E missile range of 200 kilometers to suppress India's Meteor missiles. The latter focus on ground strikes. The cost of a single aircraft to control in less than $45 million, only two-thirds of the F-16V. This combination maximizes cost-effectiveness while maintaining a qualitative advantage. PAF calculations show that the average annual cost of maintaining a squadron of J-10Cs is about $320 million, compared to $480 million for an equivalent squadron of F-16Vs. More importantly, the localization of the WS-10B engine has solved the heart disease problem and enabled Pakistan to gain complete autonomy over its equipment for the first time. According to a report by the Institute of Strategic Studies in Islamabad, the joint China-Pakistan Aero Engine Overhaul Plant will enable Pakistan to achieve 50% localized maintenance capability for the WS-10B by 2028. Data from the 2023 China-Pakistan Joint Military Exercise, in which the J-10C and F-16 were pitted against a similar aircraft, showed that the former's over-the-horizon air combat win rate remained steadily above 65%. This data foreshadows the capability revolution that the Pakistan Air Force is undergoing, from relying on Western technology transfer to integrating into the Eastern military-industrial system, and upgrading from single-platform confrontation to systematic intelligent combat. By the time the last F-16s are retired in the 2030s, today's supporting caste, may have completed its historical transition. The deeper significance of this transformation is that Pakistan, for the first time in the field of defense, to achieve decolonization through the China-Pakistan Joint Research and Development of Localized Certification System. Pakistan's military industry has been able to independently produce 54 categories of aviation parts, an increase of 400% over 2010. Pakistan's military modernization trajectory reflects the typical dilemma of small and medium-sized countries balancing real war power with future needs under limited budgets. The J-10C seemingly auxiliary position is in fact a strategic pivot point for the transformation of the entire national defense system. Through the coordinated upgrading of air and sea equipment, the deep integration of the China-Pakistan industrial chain, and the construction of asymmetric warfare capabilities, Pakistan is quietly reshaping the strategic balance in South Asia. This transformation is not only about equipment replacement, but also the reconstruction of the country's strategic autonomy. When the roar of American-made warplanes is gradually fading away, the pulse of the Chinese system is beating a new geopolitical rhythm. In the next decade, with the J-10C fleet exceeding 80 aircraft, the 052 destroyer being inducted into the fleet, and the launch of the China-Pakistan Space Cooperation Project, a new defense system based on Eastern technology standards is rising in the South Asian subcontinent.